What up, guys? This is Martin for DrGiggy, aka DrGiggy, for what is going to be a nice one-table NL100 video where I am gonna raise like everything and 3-bet everything like a retarded monkey, but not a retarded monkey, a good monkey, because I want to show you guys how I like to be table captain and how to be the aggressor or to play loose. Just don't raise everything after seeing that vid, but just I'm gonna exaggerate that a lot just for you guys to get the point. So here first hand I decide to pose because I was gonna play the ends anyway, and I get queens because I'm a lucky stupid guy, but everyone folds, which sucks. So like I was saying, I'm gonna show you that a lot of times people have a lot of trouble adjusting to loose player, especially at these stakes, and I'm gonna show you what mistakes they're doing and how they should adjust to such type of players. So I recorded that session like a week ago and it went pretty well. I hope that this will give some good content. So here I raise 4 deuce because I have to. On the flop here, let me pause it for a second. I flop like 2 pairs, but like let's say bottom pair, and go ahead and check it because I don't want to bet that because first I have no info on anybody. That's like my second hand on the table. Actually, I've never seen any of these guys, and since I know that I'm gonna play super loose for the rest of the vid, I don't want to build a big pot right from the beginning. I just want to give myself a tightest image possible given the circumstances. So I go ahead and check that, plus that's a good check spot actually, even in a vacuum, because you don't have much value by betting, and people won't call with worse actually, and they might try and bluff you, and you have showdown equity. So I go ahead and check the flop, and he checks back pretty quick as well. So turn is 6 diamond. So here I think I have to bet like always because I have value in my end. My end's kind of under repped. Plus there are a lot of draws now that might pay me. So like I said, I have a lot of value with my end. So I go ahead and bet it. So the guy calls pretty quick. Rivers the queen. I just betting here would be super stupid because I have showdown equity. Plus, there's nothing worse that's gonna pay me. Plus, there's like ton of busted draws that the guy is gonna try and bluff. So I just check, and he bets like 16 like the pot. So, in my opinion, with the way the end played out, that's like a busted draw, like 90% of the time or so. He never has 10, because he will bet the flop. Never has flush. Might have a queen, but then again, I don't think he's even putting the river, yeah, with the queen. He might bet a little smaller. So that's like a busted draw every single time. So I snap that bet, and he ends up having a busted draw. Here's second hand. I end up folding it, which is a mistake because I was just probably thinking about something else. But I think that's the only time during the vid that I'm doing that. I'm raising every single time otherwise. So here's first hand. What we learned from that is that the guy directly on my left, which I'm gonna have a lot of action with because I'm gonna play every end, well, he cold called bet with 9-7 on the cutoff, so when I raise from MP, so that gives me some nice information, and now he limps from under the gun. So I pretty much can assume that he's a fish right now. Even with 2 hands, I know that he's a fish and he's not thinking very far. So I'm gonna try and take advantage of that. And I'm really happy that there's a fish on my left, because if someone intelligent was sitting on my left, he could just rape me, because I'm gonna play something that's so exploitable, but you won't know anyways how to exploit it. So here, big blind, I check my 10 deuce and flop nothings. So that's boring. But I'm gonna get in a lot of marginal spots during this video, if I remember well. So that should be interesting. Gonna get a couple of interesting spots. Quick note that I wanted to say, guys. like I was talking earlier, a lot of people don't know how to adjust, especially at these stakes, because they play like robots, and they play according to a system that they kind of built, I don't know, reading books and reading forums, stuff like that, but you don't want to fall into that trap of playing like a robot, playing within the system. This video won't show you how to play, it will show you how to think when you play, and that's a pretty important nuance, I think, and I hope that this will help you. I also am gonna talk a lot about like game flow during that, because I'm gonna create kind of a different, like I said, game flow than what's normal at a table, since I'm gonna raise so many hands, and that's something that I want to try and teach you guys. That's pretty tough to teach actually, but I want you guys to understand what that game flow is about, and actually game flow is all about knowing how people perceive your game, and according to your last actions, to realize like how they're gonna react to your next action. Let's say I 3-bet a guy like 3 times in a row. I think that the 4th time he's gonna be more inclined to try and play back me. That's a pretty simple example, but you get the point of what I'm trying to explain. So you have to think one shot in advance actually over your opponent. So here the guy flats again. I decide to c-bet and take down the pot. The guy didn't even think actually. That's a pretty good thing that you can learn, that the guy didn't even think about playing back at me, just snap folded that flop, which tells me that I think most of the time that guy is just not gonna play the end when he flats nothing. He's not gonna float because he's not even giving a second thought on whether he should float or whatever on the flop. I can't assume that like right now with only that simple timing tell, but I think it's something that it's worth noting, and that is gonna, as the video progresses, you're gonna see that that read was pretty much right on. The guy plays pretty badly and pretty straightforward. So I raise again, because I have to. And here G thumb, I think he 3-bets me, or no, he's just timing out actually. No, that's that guy, yeah, that guy 3-bets me here. I can't play that hand profitably. I'm gonna raise everything, but I'm not gonna play super stupid. I'm gonna try and make some good plays even though I'm playing like super loose. And I'm not gonna cold call everything, I'm just gonna raise everything that's unopen, because at these limits, what I want to do actually is take the guys out of their comfort zone, and like almost everybody who's playing these stakes, every time they get 3-bet, you put them in such a bad spot in their head. They just don't have a clue on how to play when they get 3-bet, because people just don't 3-bet like much at these limits, so they never see that, so they kind of don't know how to adjust to that. So that's what I'm going to do. I just want to take people out of their comfort zone as much as possible. So here, King 6 suited, I folded. I could have 3-bet that, but ended up folding. And nothing happens during that hand, I think. Actually, what I wanted to mention is that I got a nice interview on site, I don't know what, but with the 2 Chinese brothers, like You're in Danger and T-Rex, and they were talking about back in the days when they were playing on party poker, that the only thing that they had to do to win money playing back in these days at party poker is to know how to 3-bet, and how 3-bet, get called, bet half the pot on the flop, and the guy folds. And that's no longer really true, because the game is so much better right now, but at small stakes, that's still the case, because people just don't know that. That's pretty much the toughest thing in poker, and that's pretty much why these guys are still at small stakes, because they have such a problem playing against three bets and defending against three bets when they get three bet a lot. So here I get 8-5 offsuit on the button. I try and go for a squeeze in position, even though the under the gun guy seems pretty tight, but we don't have many hands on him anyways. So I just try and squeeze for entertainment purposes. But I think he's 4-betting me. And I've got a fold, which is not a good thing. First, because I lose 13 bucks, and second, because I show that I can 3-bet and fold then, so he's gonna assume that I'm 3-betting pretty loose. But then again, they just don't much of the time assume anything. They just play their hands and don't even care about what you're doing, as you'll see during this video. Probably the most difficult thing that I had to deal with during this video is that I didn't have any info on any of these guys starting the vid, which would have been super important because I'll have to adjust a lot, but I catch up some good info pretty quick. So here, flop comes ace-ace-9. I decided not to c-bet that because of the couple of reads that I had on this player already. First, I think he's never gonna fold a pair on that flop if he calls with a pair pre-flop, so I'm not gonna make him fold that. Second, I think he's gonna have an ace a lot. I think he's the kind of guy that is gonna play every single ace on his button. Plus, he looks like so straightforward and so not bluffy that I think he's gonna check back a lot on the flop, and I might just take down the pot on the turn because he's just playing his cards. So turn comes out, gives me a flush draw, and I decided to bet just as a bluff. As a semi-bluff, I could have hit my flush as well, which gives me some pretty good equity. So I bet that, and he folded. Now 7-9 suited, I raise, and once again everybody folds, I think. So right now I'm assuming that they still haven't noticed that I'm raising a whole lot of hands. So on a game flow kind of thing, right now it's still pretty normal. I'm not gonna make weird plays because I'd be assuming that people know that I'm raising everything, because right now they didn't prove me that they knew that I'm raising everything. They're probably just not paying attention at all and just still playing their own cards like they always do. So I steal once again the blinds. And things are going down pretty well right now, since I don't have a stupid image yet. Here is 4 suited on the big blind, the guy raised. That's kind of hand that I normally I would cold call a lot with, because it's a nice hand, and I'd say like I make a 50-50 3-bet cold calling, because you can play that in position. That's a nice hand to play in position, but that's also a nice hand to 3-bet with in position, especially against someone that doesn't really know how to play in 3-bet pots. And my reasoning actually is that when you 3-bet, especially in position, the guys are gonna make mistakes. And since the pot will be bigger, well, their mistakes are gonna be bigger. So you'll be able to take advantage of that a lot if you learn how to properly take advantage of other players' leaks. So here I flop flush draw. The guy tanks for a bit, and he checks. So I go ahead and make a play that I love to make, even at higher stakes. That's one of my favorite plays here. And that is to bet pretty small on the flop, especially in a 3-bet pot. Because, okay, here's my reasoning. First, I know that I'm never going to fold that end on that flop because I have way too much equity and the pot is getting big and et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know, guys, why I'm never folding that. So I don't have to think about the times that, like, he flopped a set or something like that, or he flopped, or he has, I don't know, an overpair that he slow played, or ace-jack, or whatever, because I'm going to get, no matter how I play it, I'm going to get it all in anyways. So I have to focus on the time that he either has medium strength hand, like a small pocket pair, maybe 4s or 5s or something like that, or nothing at all. I think betting small accomplishes, I bet 14 here, and I could have bet even smaller. Accomplishes like every single good thing. First, if he has a medium strength hand, let's say pocket 5s or 6s or a pair of 7s or whatever, when I bet small, he's gonna be curious a lot to see the turn. And I'm gonna two barrel that like every single time, and now on the turn he's gonna be afraid. Because that's just how these guys think, especially in 3-bet pot. They're curious to see the next card, but when the betting gets so big, gets too big, and their stack gets at risk, they just get scared and go away, regardless of the action. And actually, unless you make some retarded anything play. But if you just two barrel, the guy he's gonna be scared on the turn. So I'll make one more bet by betting the flop and the turn instead of trying to bet like the pot on the flop to make him fold a middle pair. So, and if he has nothing, he could check raise me here as a bluff, and I will come over the top and shove him. And since he could check raise me, since my bet is pretty small, so I would come over the top and I'd make more money that way too. So I bet 14 here. He thinks for a bit and then calls, turns the 3, which gives me a gunshot to go with my flush draw. And he checks again. So here my plan actually is still the same. I know that since I've bet really not big on the flop, he's going to be calling with a lot of medium strength hands, and now he's going to be scared a lot on the turn, so I'm going to two barrel that. And plus I have so much equity that I'm calling a shove anyways if he's slow playing me something big. So I think 32 is a pretty good amount here to make him fold his medium strength. And plus it gives me another barrel in case of him calling the turn. If the river is, let's say, a king or a queen, I probably am gonna three barrel, so I'm leaving myself some chips to three barrel, and it's gonna scare him too, because he knows that I'll be three barreling here sometimes, and he'll have to answer another bet a lot of times. That's what Slensky calls the hammer of future bets. So he ends up folding. The plan worked perfectly, and I sound like a genius, but I already knew that the plan had worked perfectly. So I'm just a cheater, sorry. I'm a cheater. But so actually that play that I just made, I'm obviously not going to make that play against someone who knows that I'm going to make that play too often, because he could take advantage of that and he could just call me down with any pair and win every single time, because I'm 2 and 3 barreling so much in 3-bet pots. But against non-known here, especially since I know that he knows nothing about me, I'm going to make this play a lot. So just keep in mind, guys, that when other people start realizing what you're doing, try to adjust and do something different. Because actually what you want to do is do like exactly the opposite thing that the players thinks you're going to do with certain hands in a spot like that. So here, Jack 8, I raise my button, get called from the 2 blinds, I flop middle pair, and the big blind leads into me. He's leading 4 into 10, so I can't fold my middle pair here actually, because I have a pair and it's a small bet, and way too often against a random guy when he's just dunk leading, that might be like pair of 6s. That's not gonna be top pair that much. That's gonna be a straight draw often as well, but I don't have a big enough of a hand to raise here, obviously. But that is gonna be a medium, like pair of 10s, pair of 8s, or of 7s, or something like that, pair of 6s on the flop. Something like Jack 10 as well is in his range. I'm not really happy with my kicker and my Jack, but I still have a Jack. So I decided that I will take a turn. And he's going to have random bluffs a lot as well, because people just do that when they call from the blinds. They end up dunk leading as a bluff because they don't have any other any better of the idea of how to bluff you, and they want to win the pot so bad that they end up dunk leading every street and they turn up random cards at the end. So when you call down, you see pretty funny stuff. So here on turn, he bets pretty small again, and my feeling is that at that moment he could have a straight draw a lot, so I ended up calling the turn. He could have straight draw or still have something like ace-6, some retarded thing like that, and I was getting pretty good HUDs. And I river my gin card, like perfect card. He's gonna put me on a jack a lot here, but I'm value betting for sure. And there's still a possibility here that he has a queen. And given the range that I was giving him, I think he either has a straight draw that actually just busted and he's not gonna call any bet here, either has a queen, because yes, sometimes they have a hand when in dunk lead. They don't always have a bluff, but they often have a bluff, or he has a bluff or some retarded thing like ace-6. I think he's not gonna call a bet on the river with any of these ends. Maybe with a medium pair, a small bet, but then again, he's just gonna fold so often, and he's gonna call with like all of his queens. So I think I have to make a pretty big value bet here. Actually, I made it 30. I should have made it a bit bigger. I should have made it like the pot, because he would have probably talked himself into a call anyways because of the busted straight draws. And it will have looked pretty bluffy, especially to a bad opponent. But I ended up making it 30, which is just a small mistake in my opinion. In the heads up, he's calling with a queen. I don't remember what was kicker, but he ended up calling with a queen here. And I was behind the whole hand, but I still don't mind my play. I think I have to call both flop and turns, because he's going to turn some random shit so often that I don't have any problem with my play here, even though I was behind. And still, I was behind here, but knowing that the times I was behind, he was going to pay me when I hit trips or two pairs, that's still not that bad of a call, in my opinion. I could have tended to maybe fold the flop because we were 3 and then and guy bet anyways, but he's gonna have so random cards so often that I still think that calling is the best play. So here, 6-10 suited, I raise, and I get a couple of colors, which leads me to think that that G-thumb guy now might be, and it probably is, pretty tilted because I just rivered him, so that's an important thing to note. And other guys might start to notice that I'm raising a lot of hands. I can't just assume that given that one hand, but I think it's gonna start affecting the way I react to other players' plays a bit. Sorry, not a lot, a bit. So here I decide to check the flop, and because we were 4 and I don't have anything, so I just let that G-thumb guy take it down, and he reloads for a weird amount here, which is hopefully his entire bankroll that he's gonna tilt. Woo! So here, 8-4 offsuit under the gun. Don't try this at home. It's pretty stupid and it's like wasting money, but it makes for pretty good videos. Okay, here in 2 people, I end up c-betting that. That's a pretty nice flop in my opinion, even against 2 players to c-bet, because even though they're gonna have a pocket pair a lot here, and I know that they're gonna call a lot on the flop with any pocket pair, because they cold call pre-flop, like, I mean, let's say they have 7s, they're never folding 7s here in position against me, but the turn is gonna bring up so many scare cards that it's such a good board that I'm gonna be able to 2 and 3 barrel on, that I think c-betting is still good. Plus, if they call pre-flop with anything else than a pair, well, they probably miss the flop unless they got a flush draw. So that's a great board, not only to c-bet, but to 2 barrel and 3 barrel. So I'm c-betting here with the intention of being pretty aggressive throughout the end. So G-thumb thinks for a while, probably tilting, Probably thinking about doing a play and he folds. Or he's just slow actually. And another guy folds as well. And I'm getting a bit more credit because I bet into two people, well, like three to the flop. So I'm getting a bit more credit. So my C bet is gonna go unnoticed. Like I'm gonna take down the pot more often than when I'm against one single opponent that might float me and try some tricky things on me. Okay, here Queen 8 offsuit in the big blind with that HMP 424 fish limping from under again once again. I think go ahead and raise that just to build a bigger pot because it's gonna be funnier. It's not a good play actually, but I just wanted to build a big pot and try to outplay him later. Now I c-bet that flop because, well, that's a good flop to c-bet because he's going to give me credit for a nice, and if he has nothing, he's pretty much never going to float that. Plus, since he limped from under again, he's going to have a small pair a lot and these type of hands. But now he's betting the turn. He called the flop and he's betting the turn, so I just let him take down that hand. I have no problem with that, especially given the fact that so far he has played pretty straightforward and that he has not shown a big bluffing intentions. So here, nice hand. That is a pair of fours. That is a nice hand because it's a pair. With that guy raising, I think I'd just go ahead and cold call that because if I 3-bet here, I might have to call a shove given the stack size, and that would really suck. Plus, since I'm going to be 3-betting so much during this video, I would just want to cold call as many ends as possible. Now he's checking back that flop, which leads me to think that he does not have an ace, because I think he's going to play a pretty straightforward with an ace. But he ends up raising me on the turn. I just wanted to bluff him out there by betting the turn and the river, because I'm not putting him on an ace. If he has anything, probably a king or something like pocket queen or something like that. But I might take note here that he's the kind of guy who could like actually to slow play some nice hands on the flop. I was assuming without info that he would play very straightforward and bet his aces on the flop for value, but now I can no longer assume that. Okay, so here 7 deuce. I 3-bet that because 7 deuce is fun to 3-bet, and I'm against what looks like so far a nit, and nits normally don't bad nits actually at these limits. Nits at these limits don't have a clue on how to play in 3-bet pots. So I go ahead and 3-bet him and try to take advantage of that, and he ends up folding. That's like the second time that I was 3-betting him. So I don't know if he has noticed yet. He insta reloads here at 100 big blinds, which leads me to think that he might be playing a couple more tables. So it might take him a bit more time understanding that I'm raising like a maniac than other guys who are just playing one table. Okay, so here, 3-way pot, I flop middle pair. I go ahead and check it because I don't want to bet it, because if I get called, I don't want to build a big pot out of position. Plus, if I get called, it's going to be pretty tough to put the guy in a hand because there are so many draws out there. Plus, he might have an ace as well, so I don't know if I will have to bet the turn again, like protect my hand or whatever. Plus, I'm out of position, so I ended up checking that flop, which is pretty standard play actually. Here on the turn, I go ahead and bet it. I'm not really sure that's the best play. What I'm doing right here is I'm kind of turning my hand into semi-bluff, because they might call me with worse. They might call me with gut shots or open enders or hands like that a lot. They're not going to fold gut shot. Yeah, well, maybe gut shot, but they're not going to fold open enders here or even flush draws. But they might call me with better hands as well. So what I'm going to do here is probably just bet the turn to make the draws pay, because there are not a lot of draws. But if I get called, I'm probably just going to check the river and see what happens. If I check the river and he bets big, well, I might think about calling because there would be a lot of busted draw and he wouldn't bet big with hands such a like a jack. And I'm assuming right now that nobody has an ace because HMP checked really quickly on the flop and he's playing so straightforward and anyways that he's gonna bet an ace. And that AG poker guy checked being last to hack, so I assume he doesn't have an ace on such drawy board. So anyways, I think if I get called here, I'm gonna get called by draws or jacks, pair of jacks. So I could have checked as well and maybe give a chance to AG poker for AG poker to bluff, but I think this would have been like I don't have enough info on this guy to know if he would have been bluffing a lot on this turn, so I prefer just taking the initiative and working from there without any info on someone. If I knew that he would be a big bluffer, well, I might have checked and tried to call down a bet instead. Okay, so here's 6-8. I flop an open-ender and three-way pot. And I check and this Chinese guy bets like 1/3 of the pot. And given the way that he has played so far, that pretty straightforward way, that leads me to believe that he does not have that much of a hand, because he's just betting small, that he would bet his great hands probably bigger here. So we'll see what happens. AG poker ends up folding here, and I go ahead and raise it, because I think he might be scared. He might have something like, I don't know, a pair of queens, because he's not raising a lot of hands. He might just raise his pocket pairs. And he might be scared if he has a pair of queens or jacks or whatever. He's scared of the ace, so he's betting so small because that's what he would do because he doesn't know how to play. Plus, well, when I'm raising here, I'm going to make him fold all these hands. Plus, I have a nice draw with a lot of fold equity. So I go ahead and raise that. Plus, we're more than 100 big blinds deep, so I want to build a pot in case of me hitting the turn. That turn now is like probably the worst card in the deck, because I can no longer two-barrel him, even if I knew that he had some kind of medium strength hands, like let's say he has pocket queens. I can no longer two-barrel him because he's going to be way more curious now that the overcard to his hand has paired. He's gonna call down more a lot. Plus, if he has an ace, there's no way he's folding that. Plus, if he has a draw, he's not folding it as well, because he seems like the type of guy who's just going to try and catch his draws. So I go ahead and check that here, and I think he's going to play that turn pretty straightforward. That's it. He's going to check his draws a lot, if he has a draw. He's going to check his medium strength hands too. And he's going to bet his aces, like always, because he will want to build a big pot, and the board is getting pretty dry, and he would be afraid of the draws. So, given the fact that I know that he's going to bet his aces, now I know that he does not have an ace. So, his range of hands now, two things. Medium strength hands, like I was talking earlier, maybe a pair of, not a pair of nines, not really in his raising range, but maybe a pair of jacks, pair of queens, pair of tens, or something like that, or a draw. You might have maybe jack 10 suited, or king queen suited and diamonds, or something like that. So that's pretty much the only hands right now. Given the way the hand has played, I don't think I can make him fold a medium, any pair actually, by any mean, because there are so many busted draws. But since he has a draw so often, in my opinion, in that particular spot, I guess it's worth a try to go in and just bet super small to make him fold his busted draw, because I'm not even beating a busted draw. If I had, let's say, even pocket 2 here, well, I would check always, because I'd have enough showdown value to check call a bit. But here, given the fact that I have ace 8 I need to bluff the end to try and win it. I think he's never bluff raising me ever, because if he has nothing, well, he's just thinking on level 0, so he's just going to fold if he has nothing. He's going to call if he has any pair. So I'm just betting 10 here, which is, in my opinion, like the perfect amount, because it's just enough for him not to be curious with like king eye and a busted draw, and betting more wouldn't accomplish anything more, because he's going to call with any pair anyway. So it just gives me great odds to try and take down the pot, which happened. I was pretty lucky that he had a busted draw, but then again, I think my $10 bet was a really nice play here on that river. Okay, one thing now worth noting about that end is that he might get really frustrated right now, because these fishes, when they miss their draws and when they lose hands because of that, they're gonna get a lot more frustrated. Plus, he's been losing like every single pot he has been playing against me. So from now on, I'm gonna assume that he might try and bluff me a bit more. He might get a little bit frustrated and he might call with more junk pre-flop, etc., etc. So that's just that nice little detail. The fact that he missed his draw is going to change the flow of the game a lot, in my opinion. And when you are aware of these things, guys, you are going to be able to take profit from them. Okay, so here, 5-10 suited, that guy calls again. He's just a big fish, actually. I flip middle pair, so I don't think I have any value here, because he's not calling with pretty much anything else than an ace on the flop, so I just go ahead and try and pot control that. On turn, there are now so many draws that I think that I have some value, that I have to make him pay for his draws on such a board, but he ends up folding. So Jack Queen, I'm getting pretty good starting ends, which is good news, because I have to play every end. I raised that Jack Queen from the cutoff, and now he's re-raising me. So, without any info now, I can't really play back. I was talking earlier that now he might get a little bit frustrated and he might be more inclined to try and bluff me and be more aggressive, but I still didn't get any proof of that. And Jack Queen F-suit is like way too difficult to play out of position in a 3-bet pot. It's gonna be dominated a lot, so I just fold, which is the correct play in my opinion. And what happens here is pretty funny. He shows me a bluff, which is like the worst thing in the world that he could have done. Because if he does not show me that, he just keeps me guessing, and I'm still not sure that he's able to re-raise. Like here, he's like playing 35-6. So, in my opinion, before he shows me that, even though I think he might get a bit frustrated, I still think he's not really able to 3-bet me, like, because he can't even 2-bet like. But now that he's showing me that, he's giving me so much info. I think here he's kind of trying to prove me something or give me a message. But it's like the worst way in the world to do it, because he's giving me just the info I needed, that he might get, like, he might start bluffing more right now, and you don't want to give away that info, guys. That was probably just his ego playing here when he shows me that. He's like super proud. Oh, I 3-bet you when you fold, and he's showing me that. But that's just so retarded. It's not even funny. Just keep people guessing. Don't give them free information like that, especially in that kind of. Anyways, that's just super ugly. And the other funny thing about that is that now that he has shown me a bluff, he might be scared to bluff me now. So he won't. He kind of noticed that I was playing super loose, so he knows that I have to play back. He knows that he has to play back a lot. But now that he has shown me a bluff, he will know that I know that he can bluff, so he's gonna be more afraid to bluff, so he's like cutting his options so much. Like if he doesn't show me that, it's gonna probably take me like 4 or 5 more hands to realize what he's doing. But now he's giving me the infos right now, and he's cutting his options because he's gonna be scared now that he's shown me a bluff that I might call down or whatever. So that was just stupid. So here I raise. Guy limps from the small blind. I pretty much actually, guys, here just a quick note. I pretty much never ever let people limp their small blinds against me, especially bad players, because, well, first, most of the time it's a bad player who's limping a small blind, but when the guy limps a small blind, just raise him, because you're in position, you're going to play a bigger pot in position, and he's going to check fold the flop so often, it's it's like super free money, and he's gonna give you that $1 so often as well. Just gonna, oh, I'm gonna take a flop, and now I raise and he folds. So don't let people limp when you're heads up on the blinds. Limp their small blinds. That's so retarded. Just raise them with anything actually, unless you know that he knows that and that he might limp re-raise you or whatever. But against a random guy, just raise him as much as you can. Here, I don't know if he hits something. That might be a bluff. I don't know, but I don't care. My c-bet's gonna show profit so often that I'm still very comfortable with my play here. So here, Queen 3 suited. I end up folding that because I've been quite active lately. So maybe I want to fold 1 N or 2 before starting to piss people off again. So here my button. I'm gonna play my button for sure, whatever happens. So I raise Queen 9, and that HMP guy, who's calling every time from the blinds out of position, is calling again, which is probably another mistake. So here I flopped up pair. I go ahead and bet for value. There are so many draws. Plus, I'm not afraid of him check raising me as a bluff, because he's like never really gonna do that. Even with a draw, he looks like the type of guy who's just gonna call his draw. So I can just, in my opinion, bet every single street here for value, because he's gonna call me down with a jack, and he might call me down with pair of 4s or a middle pair like 7, something like that. So against a good guy, that would be kind of spot that I would go for pot control a lot. But here, I think betting 8 is a great idea, because he's gonna, once again, he's gonna call me with all his jacks, and I don't want to bet too much, because I don't want to scare him with his medium strength hands. If he's check raising me, I'm pretty much certain that he has a flush now, because I don't think he's fancy enough to check raise the turn as a bluff. And well, he's good. That's it. It's just normal value bet, and I make it very small because he won't even notice that I'm making it small because I'm having a medium strength hands. He's just playing his own cards, and I think betting 8 is the best way to make him do a mistake when he's playing his own cards. I would then do that type of play with that type of hand against a guy who's like more likely to think actually than this guy. So here on the river, I river a flush, and I think I have some value in that, but I'm not sure that I have the best hand. He could have just, let's say, called the flop with like ace-10 with ace of clubs, and now there comes another club in the turn, so he's calling again because of his flush draw. So he might have the ace, the king, the jack, the 10 of clubs are all ends in his range, so I don't want to bet too big because, well, he's going to have me beat pretty often, and he's not going to call a super big bet with his weaker flushes. So I just make a small value bet just for him to be curious, and he ends up calling, and I have the best end, and I got away with pretty good value there. He had jack 10 actually with not even a club. So that probably was the maximum value that I could get on that hand playing that way against that particular opponent. I wouldn't play that exact same way against another opponent, but against that guy, I think that was pretty much the best way to play my hand. And I think I just folded a hand, so I'm sorry for that, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and not do that anymore. I am sorry. Really, really sorry. Really sorry. Okay, so here ace-jack offsuit on the big blind. Pretty nice hand, especially given the fact that I'm playing every hand. So that AG Poker guys, who I don't have much info on him yet, didn't tangle with him much, is raising. Wait. Happy hour. Oh, wait. So, okay, like I was saying, that guy don't have a lot of info on him. I don't even know if he has noticed that I'm playing super loose, but I think he's still not pissed off because we haven't tangled much yet. we haven't played like any N against each other yet, so he pretty much, I think he's not gonna try and outplay me really bad. So I go ahead and re-raise that, which is my kind of standard play, especially against some mediocre opponent with my ace-jack on big blind. So I re-raise that. Against, if let's say that guy would have been like, maybe not HMP. If that guy would have been HMP, I could have still re-raised him because he'd be so pissed after me that he's going to call with a lot worse hands that are dominated, and I have so much value raising ace-jack. But against guy who's like semi-type against me, and given the flow of the game that I would think he would try and play me back more often, well, I might just call the end and just play a small pot because I'd be afraid of him calling too often in position and like making a move on me too often, and I'm gonna miss the flop so often. So given the flow of the game, I think, given the fact that I think that AG Poker now at that point, since we haven't played much together, is not gonna try and bluff me out that much, even with my image right now, I have no problem just re-raising that, and we'll see what happens. He just folds, actually. I didn't even remember that he was just folding. So that was a lot of talking for not much. I hope you get the points, guy. That I was trying to explain that, given the fact that the guy, I think, is playing pretty tight, and he's still not in the mood to super play me back. So I don't have any problem re-raising my ace-jack. Here, same situation, but it's totally different at the same time because he's raising from middle position instead of cutoff, so his range is a lot smaller. Plus, I just 3-bet him. So if I go ahead and 3-bet him once again, now I'm going to be afraid that he's going to play me back way too much. So I just, let's say I had like a super nice hand, even the maiden like 10s, I would be super happy to 3-bet him for value. But now my hand's going to miss the flop so many times and I'm out of position. I just prefer keeping the pot small and playing the end in a small pot out of position. Here these back-to-back ace-jack hands, guy, I think are some good examples of how just little details can change the right way to play a hand a lot. Like here I'm just checking down the end with my ace-jack, and we check down, he ends up having 5s, which should have bet somewhere. But anyways, like I was saying, these little things are kind of what I'm trying to explain when I'm talking about game flow. Like, one play in a vacuum might be good, might be super good, might be the best play at a certain moment, but like 2 ends after that, because of something that just happened, that's no longer the right play. I don't know if I'm making it sound clear enough, guys, but I want you, when you play, to try and notice these kinds of things and to try and think about these subtle nuances, like the fact, okay, I just 3-bet him, he might be now more pissed off, it might be more dangerous to 3-bet him, or I have super good hand, or he's gonna fold now because I've been acting pretty tight, or you just missed a draw, so he's gonna be pissed now, so it's not time to bluff him, and he might bluff me, and etc., etc. These kind of things are the kind of thing that you have to think while you play, and that's the kind of thing that you're gonna miss out when you play like a freaking robot. When you play a system, when you only play your hands, you're gonna miss these things, and by missing these things, you are gonna miss a lot of value, and you are gonna affect your win rate a lot, and you might not even be able to ever get out of small stakes, because the higher the stakes, the more you have to think. So you have to take that habit, guys, of thinking while you play poker. I know I'm insisting a lot on that, but I think it's very, very important, because that's like the biggest leak in every small stakes player's game, to play like robots. So that's pretty much it. I think actually I just decided that I'm gonna make that video a 2-parts video, because I've been pausing it a lot and it's getting quite long. So I hope you enjoyed the first part, guys. First part, that's kind of cool because I can like separate the 2 parts. The first part was more like playing when you don't have much info, when you're kind of starting to get info on the table and starting to get the feel of the table and how to get the feel of the table and making plays like in a vacuum and stuff like that. And I think the second video is going to be a lot more now acting according to your reads and acting according to game flow. So I hope you enjoyed that, guy. I hope you enjoyed some of the hands I've played. And if you have any questions, once again, any comments, any whatever, please, please, please ask me. I will be super happy to help you guys, and I am super happy because I am happy. So that's it. That's Martin Fournier-Giguère, aka DrGiggy, saying goodbye and hope to see you for part 2.